Hey everybody, this is Fumi from freespiritedfumi.com, and this is just going to be one of those reflection videos. I mean, everybody has them. I'm just at home resting and just thinking about all the things that I've done, and I am so excited because this week I'm taking a beach trip, not necessarily a vacation trip, or one of those go to the beach and get, you know, buzzed or anything like that, but I had a family reunion and it was at a state park with the beach, and it was amazing. The moment I walked on the docks, I felt so amazing. I felt so happy. I felt so comforting just by being on the docks of a beach. Like, it just made me feel amazing. And I was thinking to myself, wow, like if I could choose a place to live where I could feel alive, I'd have to be near the water all the time. Like, I love the heat, I love the sun, and it's just amazing. So I'm planning a beach trip this week, and I am going to be so happy when I go there. So I really want some of you ladies to think, where do you feel the most at peace with yourself? And if it's not where you live now, how can you change that? Especially within the Black American community, the concept of immigration is so removed from our experience. Like for me, even traveling or being a polyglot is not something that's very common in my community. Traveling for some who can afford it or some who can't is one thing, but I've been thinking more recently about immigrating to other countries. Actually, I've been thinking about it for a while, although my locations keep switching. And like I said, when I think about living near the water, I'm just like, wow, I want to live near the water because that's where I feel the most at peace. That's where I want to be. I want to live near the water. So I'm definitely going to be relocating soon, and I'm going to be moving things around so that I can get to that point where I can live near the water and I can do the kind of things that I want to do with women all the time, and that just be what I do. So yeah, definitely think, where do you want to be? Like, where do you feel the most at ease? Is it in the woods? Is it at a pond? Is it at the beach? Is it with your family? Is it in the city? Is it in the, countryside? Is it out of the country? Is it, in South America? Wherever it is that you feel comfortable, definitely think about immigrating. A lot of people talk about this being the best country in the world, and it's like, you know, maybe for people who come from crap, I'm just gonna be honest, like, a lot of the immigrants here, they come from countries where they've already spent the majority of their life struggling and in poverty and I mean in a level that we don't see here in America. Because let's just be honest, even the poor here are privileged. Outside of being homeless, I would even say that the homeless in other countries are more privileged than our homeless, because in other countries, if you're homeless, you actually can make makeshift houses and beg for food and make, like you see them, they have like little squatter towns and stuff. In America, you don't get to do that. Like, you'll go to jail and put to work. Whereas other countries, at least, you can live and be homeless, and you can actually like have shelter. Whereas here, you have to have the state provide for you, and it's a horrible, broken system. But definitely consider immigrating, because I mean, as someone who's lived here my whole life, especially being within my community, and you look at all the news, things happening on the news now, it's like, is this really the best place for my future children? Is it? Even if you isolate yourself in a little bubble with people who look like you, even if you go outside of your community, and you think because you have a lot of money that you can protect yourself and your children. I mean, you can't protect them anywhere, but just being honest, I think a lot of the recent events have caused us to really um, rethink where we would like to live. And it's like, so many people couldn't imagine going anywhere else, and it's like everybody came here, they had that same mentality, and it's like you don't hear about their children. You don't hear about a lot of the other immigrant groups, their children being slaughtered and murdered, outside of some criminal lower level Latinos who are targeted due to but it's like, for the most part, it's open season for us here. It's open season, and it's never going to stop, because those who conquered this country, they know who their real enemy is, and we are their real enemy because we are descendants from Africans. That's why the only difference is they're in their homeland. So, after a while, you're in your homeland where you've been for generations, whereas we're here, marooned here. So it will never stop. Screwing them won't make it stop praying. Even the people who think they can pray away murderers and racism, it's just like, I honestly, like, I feel so sorry for them. I'm not even gonna insult them. I feel so sorry for them because I just, it's just, you're just so, it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. It's never stopped anything. You know, this, if the same thing that you're worshiping, if the same deity and the same religion that you're praying to is the same of those who were trying to kill you and your children, do you think that your God is answering your prayers? Whose prayers is he, was, you know, since you like to say he, whose prayers is he answering? You guys pray the same, you know, European identified Jesus and same God that is pretty much in this country. God is represented as pretty much a white God. Usually when you see God representing, it's usually a white God. So it's like you're praying in the same, you know, you're praying to the same supposed supreme being. And who's, does it seem like the prayers are being answered for you, or does it seem like the prayers are being answered for your adversaries? Based off of the statistics, I would say whatever, whoever or whatever you're praying to, you might want to reconsider that, because it seems like you guys are both praying and you both are on the same team, but it seems like you're always losing. So speaking of that, you know, for those who think that they can pray away murder or murderers, you guys are really dumb. That's like the nicest thing I can say. And for those who are like, why am I praying to the same, you know what I'm saying? Like for me, you know, and if you'll see in the link below, definitely for women dealing with patriarchy, dealing with the isms of life, is this really how you want to spend your life? Do you want to raise your children this way? Do you? Do you want your children, male, do you, especially your daughters, do you want them to worship a male European identified God? Do you? And, you know, based off of the research of, you know, white scholars, it always leads back to black women in Africa. And they know that. And even like you said, you know, people take pictures of the Pope praying to the African Madonna figure. So I see what they're praying to, the images, and I look at what you're praying to, and I see a disconnect there. And they're on top. So maybe you should focus on really looking at what everybody's really praying to. And in regards to a lot of the European goddesses, the Artemis, the Hecate, all that stuff, if you're worshiping that, history is your best friend, because history may or may not be biased, but for the most part, there's a lot of truth in history. Many of the Roman Greek goddesses, there were, you know, Romans and the Greeks, they went to Africa. They all studied in Africa, all of them. All of these goddesses and gods, not all, but majority of, especially the famous ones. There are plenty of European traditions, but even the majority of those, some of them, they are nothing more than, you gotta understand, when people speak different languages, they translate the names. They translate the names into their language, and then they change the image to match their people, which is smart. That's totally smart. So these are nothing more than quote unquote African gods that have been changed. They just been, their names are different, and then they made them white. And that's not a problem. Honestly, I don't think it's a problem that the Europeans who learned from Africans changed the names in their language and made them look white. I think that is the smartest. That is what you're supposed to do. That is what you are supposed to do. When you worship your image of God, you worship yourself. You do not worship other people. You do not. That's how you have to have healthy mental self-esteem, healthy spiritual sense of self when you worship yourself and your culture. So I'm not mad at them at all. They're the smart. I'm telling you guys, you got to learn, because they know what they're doing, and they're doing what's best for them and what's best for their children's emotional and mental health, self-esteem. So what are you doing? Have you taken what really is yours and used it and presented it to your children so that they know how great they are? Or are you worshiping somebody else's version of greatness? That's the question. Because one thing I've learned by studying other groups, whites, Hispanics, everybody else, they're doing what works for them. And that doesn't bother me at all. Let them, that's what smart people do. They do what works for them. They worship the God in their image. That is what anybody's supposed to do. That's why when you go through, like, people say, "But what about the people in the rainforest in Brazil who don't worship Christianity? Are they going to hell?" I had a lot of Christians say that. No, they worship their God through their culture. You worship through the lens of your culture. You live through the lens of your culture. That is what is normal. That is what is normal. And for those who don't, they are conquered. Conquered people and colonized people worship through the lens of other cultures. That's what being conquered does. But the thing is, nowadays, even though you're still conquered, you can still choose to worship in your own image. Should you, you can still do that. And it's funny because some people are worshiping through another person's lens and they're still getting killed and murdered. So it's like, you're gonna get killed and murdered anyway. So it's like whether you do worship in their image or you don't worship. So it's like, I would definitely implore some of you ladies to check out the link below for those who are tired of worshiping in other people's images, who are tired of worshiping patriarchy. Definitely click that link. If not, if you just kind of want to go on your own journey, I actually really think and reflect, what kind of life are you living? What do you want to pass on to your children? What do you want to pass on to children? Do you think your children are really safe in America? Are they safe? Are they? Studies have shown that a lot of immigrants are leaving in America and are going back to their countries. As much as people try to look down on other countries, like a lot of these other countries, you can get good health care, the community's still there, nature is beautiful, you know what I'm saying? Like, with your knowledge, with your Western knowledge, you can go and make a paradise wherever you want, because you've grown up in a more advanced society in terms of technology and infrastructure. So wherever you go, you can bring that with you. So don't be afraid of their conditions, because you have the knowledge of what it takes to live in a better society or a more healthy society, So it's like, why not leave this toxic place and take that's what people do. Advancements there for your progeny and yourself. Like I said, I'm already hopping around, because originally I was thinking of certain countries, but I realized my spirit says I need to be near the water. I need to be where it's warm and sunny. That's just where I need to be. So, yeah, like, where do you guys really want to be? How do you want to worship? How do you want to look at yourself? How do you want to feel? And most importantly, does the person you're sleeping with or you're married to feel the same way? And it's hard, I know, because mine does not feel the same way. Will he ever? I don't know. Maybe he won't be around. I don't know. But for those, I really, especially those who are young, like me, I'm very young. I have the whole world. I have my whole world. I'm like 25. My whole world is ahead of me, so I don't have to subscribe to a lot of this stuff and feel like, oh, that's the best I can do. I'm at the pinnacle of my life. And many of you watching are also. And you don't have to be 25 to make a change. I know people who were 40 years old turned their life around and they're happy. So definitely think about that. Definitely think about that. And don't get so upset about stuff. I remember when I first started hearing about all these shootings and stuff, I was surprised. And my husband was like, why are you? Study your history. And I mean, I know my history, but really think about your history. Churches never stop being attacked. Men and women never stopped being lynched. It never stopped. The mass media just never reported on it, and locals were so apathetic that they were so desensitized they never complained about it because it was normal. And now it's still normal. We just didn't know. I didn't know because I had a more privileged life. I didn't have to deal with these things. I've been pulled over by cops like 3 times. Each time it was my fault, and I've never gotten a ticket, never gotten anything negative ever happened to me. And they were all white males. I've never had a problem with white males. Never, ever, at all. Sorry. So it's like when I heard about this stuff, I was just kind of like, oh, that's very unfortunate for them. But still, with increase, when I really started to realize how frequently it was happening, I was like, wow. So I just happen to be I'm just happy to be very blessed that these things don't happen to me. But I have to be realistic in the future when I have children, because I don't have children now, and I will be waiting till I'm ready to have children. Many women just pop out children, because I feel like I have to think about what kind of life I want to give my children, and what will my mind state be when I have children, because a toxic mother and father create toxic children. So when I'm an ideal place, I will be having them with my husband. But I thought about, like, wow, this is really, as much as I can have a great experience, my children may not. My child could go away to college in a place like Texas, like where that woman was killed, and the same thing could happen to him or her. So it's like, I really, it really just makes me so happy. Like, I'm thinking I can't wait to leave and relocate, and it's just really interesting. I have a lot of things going on, but the biggest thing for me was realizing my own power and realizing the power that you do have over it. Like, you can focus on what you don't have power on, but you can focus on what you do have power on. And I have a lot of power over my life. And I know a lot of religious people are taught otherwise, but that's why their life is the way it is. When things happen to them, things just kind of happen to them, and they just kind of beg something or some entity or something like that. They just kind of beg for something better to. It's like you're always a victim at the mercy of something else. And for me, I don't think like that. I'm not. I'm a victim. I don't even look at myself as a victim. I just deal with circumstances. There are other forces out in the world. But it's like you have so much choice nowadays. You have the choice. Women especially, we have the choice of what we want to deal with and what we don't want to deal with. We have a choice as to what we want to worship and who we want to worship and how we want to, like, here in America, because this is the perspective I'm thinking from. Here in America, people die from eating the wrong thing. In other countries, people die due to starvation and contaminated food. And it's like, here, we can go to the store and choose to eat organic or choose to grow our own food. I had a video and post about growing your own food on your balcony, growing your own food if on your patio if you live in an apartment. You don't even need soil from some of these vegetables. And you can, it's like we have so much choice here in America, maybe too much choice. Whereas in other countries, because of industrialization or anything, their stuff is contaminated. They don't have the choice. That's just what they have, and it's contaminated. So it's like, how are you utilizing your choice? And for me, I want you ladies to think. No, you don't have to think or agree with me. That's the funniest thing I would like women to stop doing is stop allowing other people's perceptions to evoke responses from you. Stop personalizing everything in your life. Everything that you experience does not have to be internalized. That's a better word. Everything you experience does not have to be internalized. It doesn't. Don't internalize it, because you're hurting yourself. So when somebody like me does a video criticizing, and not even criticizing, just telling you what I think about you. I'm just telling you guys what I think. I think some people are absolute idiots and they're going to continue to die. Some of you will continue to die if you hold on to your version, your present version of your religious beliefs. You will die because you're weak and you're stupid. Because you don't know about how to protect yourself or defend yourself from your enemies. Now, who your enemies are, that's based off of I don't know. I don't know. Who are your enemies? But if you continue to be foolish and not protect yourself and your children, you will die. And your children will die. So, now these are for the foolish ones. Now, for those who aren't foolish, who are doing what you got to do, doesn't apply to you. But the ones who are risking their children's lives and risking their lives, they know who I'm talking to, because they're the ones breathing right now. So I encourage you ladies to begin to take power into your own hands. Begin to figure out how to acquire power, and begin to figure out, where am I most at peace? Where am I the most happy? Am I worshiping a religion or God or a spiritual system that has done nothing for me or my ancestors? Am I worshiping the same religion of my enemies, whoever those enemies may be? Because your enemy can be anybody. Your enemy can look like you. Your enemy can look just like you. Is my mate on the same page as me, or is he or she not? These are the questions I'd like some of you ladies to think about. Just because once you think about them, then choose. I'm sorry, I'm so relaxed right now. Then choose to do something different. Choose to say, I do have power over my life. I can immigrate to Canada. I can immigrate. And a lot of places, I'm actually thinking of immigrating to the Caribbean. I have my education. I have my money. I have everything. Why not spend, the paradise that we all escape for 1 week a week? Why not live there? Why not live affluently? I plan on being part of the affluent wherever I immigrate. I don't plan on being around the working class. Class is very real, and the decisions you make affect how you live and your children live. So think about that. So yeah, this is kind of one of those thinking videos. Just think. Don't worry about what you don't agree with. Worry about what you do agree with, that I say. Don't spend time thinking about the things that you don't like. Worry about what you do like, and worry about what you want to know about. That's what I do. When I see stuff I don't agree with, I'm like, yeah, move on. So I was just having some thoughts. But definitely, why don't you just sit down and think? Don't tell anybody, just think. Think for yourself. Choose choose your own destiny. Because that's what I'm doing. This is Fumi from freespiritedfumi.com. And there's a reason why I call it Free Spirited Fumi. Oh, my time is up. Bye.